This is where Mississippi State's supposed to be. If we're not here, everybody's disappointed. And it's not like that everywhere in the country. There's high expectations for coaches, high expectations for players, and we understand that.
On 3-2, got him. Yep. Got him. Mississippi State. Strike out 21 Longhorns and set a record, and the combination of Bednar and Sims just enough. He did, and that one is driven to right, and it is deep, and it is gone! Tanner Allen, a 3-run home run. Mississippi State, 5 runs in the inning, and now lead it 5-4.
WCBI Sports presents Dog Days in Omaha, starting now.
Welcome in. Thank you for joining our second edition of Dog Days in Omaha. Chris Bolton, I'm Courtney Robb. Our John Sokoloff will be joining us on location in Omaha later in the show. For the first time in 8 years, Mississippi State baseball heads to the College World Series Championship. While this might be the Bulldogs' second time competing for the crown, State will look to actually wear the crown this year. To do so, MSU head coach Chris Lemonis and the Diamond Dogs will have to dethrone the reigning national champs, otherwise known as Vanderbilt. State knows the challenge that lies ahead, and this team is ready to work for it.
We're excited to just be playing, and we played well against Vanderbilt early in the year at their place. They're good, very good. That's why they're in the other bracket. But once again, like I told our guys last night, you know, for Mississippi State to win there is just going to be you're going to have to earn it. And playing Vanderbilt, and arguably one of the top programs, if not the top, in college baseball over the last 5 years, we have to go against the best, and that's the way we want it.
Vanderbilt's path to the College World Series title game was anything but traditional. After NC State was forced to end their title run to the semifinals due to COVID-19, the Doors advanced. Now, Vandy will get their chance to defend the title against a hungry Bulldog squad.
We just got to play good baseball. We got to free ourselves up to play as well as we possibly can. And at the end of it, you hope for a positive outcome. We got a positive outcome, and at this point, I don't care what it looks like. It doesn't matter. We're still here. We're still playing, and that's all that matters. And there is a toughness component that we've had that has allowed us to get through those moments, and there is something to be said about grit.
Nothing beats the sights and sounds of Omaha. We check in now with our John Sokoloff for all the action up at TD Ameritrade Park. Hey, John.
Yeah, Courtney, it's been a very special last couple of weeks here in Omaha at the College World Series. Mississippi State taking care of business in every final frame, has always had all these Bulldog fans really with their hearts beating, including Chris Lemonis. It's only been his second year as the head coach, if you don't count 2020. And in both of those years with postseasons, he's taken them to Omaha. But if you ask him, the first thing he's going to say is, I inherited all these great players. He's very, very timid when it comes to giving himself credit. Also, he let us know this morning that his father was going to be coming here, but he's not. He's in the hospital with his sister right now, but he's going to be watching every pitch. He got emotional about it last night. So it's been a bunch of emotions for head coach Chris Lemonis. I caught up with Mississippi State AD John Cohen earlier this afternoon, and he also talked about the head man. Let's take a look. I'm joined by Mississippi State Athletics Director John Cohen. John, the Bulldogs punched their ticket to the championship series for the second time in program history. The last time they did in 2013, you were leading the charge as the head baseball coach. If anyone knows how much of an excruciating road it can be to get to this point, it's you. What kind of impresses you the most about this year's group?
Well, I think our coaching staff's done a great job with really a pretty inexperienced baseball team that hasn't played a ton of SEC baseball or even postseason baseball. So, yeah, really proud of the kids. They've showed incredible resiliency. They come from behind over and over and over again. And obviously, we've been able to strike a ton of people out. Our pitching staff has swing and miss caliber stuff. We're going to be a little bit shorthanded heading into the early part of this, just from the standpoint of what we had to use on Friday and Saturday. And of course, Vanderbilt's in a little bit of a different situation. So, I really feel like our kids will rise to this incredible challenge in front of them.
You've been around baseball for a long time, and you can respect two really good programs that are going to be squaring off here. You kind of alluded to it there a little bit, but what are you kind of expecting to see out of this matchup?
Yeah, it's just so hard to see. Yesterday we hit ball after ball after ball on the nose. We hit so many balls hard, didn't have a lot of runs to show for it, and it's a ball that hits right in front of the plate that bounces over the third baseman's head that really became the difference in the ball game. So, and then of course Tanner Leggett with waiting for his opportunity, and when his opportunity presented himself, and he made the most of it. Braylon Skinner comes off the bench, ready to do his job. We were using all of our roster, and I think Coach Lamonis is doing a great job.
Finally, you just segued right into my last question. Chris Lamonis, you made that hire a few years ago in his first 2 full seasons. He takes this program to Omaha. Has he exceeded the expectations that you've had for him, and how would you kind of assess the job that he's done?
Well, it's a very difficult job. I think he said this over and over again. I mean, he met a team that was on its way home from the College World Series, and because of that, there's been tremendous expectations, and he's met every single one of them and more. And here we are knocking on the door again with an opportunity to win a national championship. We're one of only 2 teams still playing in college baseball, and I give a lot of credit to Chris. He is an excellent coach. He's a great recruiter, and he is somebody who leads by example, and just really proud of the job he's done.
I'm out here in right field of TD Ameritrade Ballpark, and it's beautiful. It's a nice day before Game 1, and 247 Sports' Robbie Falk is going to join me to preview State Series with Vanderbilt. Stay with us.
You're watching Dog Days in Omaha with WCBI Sports.
Welcome back. There have been ups and downs for Mississippi State throughout the 2021 College World Series. Our John Sokoloff is now joined by Robbie Falk of 247 Sports and the Starkville Daily News with a breakdown on the Bulldogs. Hey, John.
Hey, Courtney. Yeah, I'm joined by Robbie. This is his second appearance this week. He's turning into a TV star, and another thing he's really good at, covering Mississippi State sports, specifically baseball. And Courtney, you just mentioned some ups and downs, and State Series earlier this year against Vanderbilt on the road had some ups and had some downs. But before we get to that, Christian McLeod is going to start for the Bulldogs against Vandy in Game 1 of the championship series. Robbie, Christian hasn't had his best stuff his last couple of games. How confident are you in him in being able to bounce back against Vanderbilt?
Well, the coaches are really confident, and they sent him back out there at the bullpen the last 2 games, which I thought was really interesting. After struggling, throwing an inning in the third against Virginia, coaches went right back to him and said, hey, we're going to need you to win this thing. And I thought that was something that was going to be key for him moving forward, to know that the coaches had that confidence in him, sent him to the bullpen in both of those games, if I'm not mistaken, and he was ready to go if he needed to come out of the bullpen and help Mississippi State win that. But now he's going to have to go head-to-head against one of the best pitchers in college baseball, and it's going to be a tough battle, but I think, he's a guy that's been pretty weathered. He's gone through the ups and downs of the SEC, and he's had some good starts. You really need him to connect in this ball game and have a really good night on Monday night.
Now, what I'm about to say kind of seems like it might be apples and oranges, but it favors a lineup when they see a pitcher a couple of times, but it also might favor a pitcher a little bit when he sees a lineup a couple times. We saw it with Ty Madden the other night. It was his 3rd time seeing the Bulldogs. He did great. This isn't going to be Christian McLeod's first time seeing Vanderbilt. He pitched against them in April. Do you think that can help him out? And you were there in Nashville for that game, and what'd you kind of see from him that night?
Well, he was excellent the first time through the order. The first 3 innings, I think he might have allowed 1 base runner, if that. He struck out 7 guys out of the first 9 he faced, and he was just on. His changeup was really working, and that's something that I asked him in the press conference on Sunday is just what he remembers from that ball game, because he was so good in the first 3 innings, and when the lineup turned over again and those guys saw him again, they started laying off the changeup. He didn't have as much bite on it, and they were able to have some success. And they turned in, I think, a 4-run inning there, and that was really all she wrote. Kumar Rocker was really grooving on the mound, and it was one of those things where you just couldn't have one bad inning or the thing's over, and that's what happened. But I think he can take a lot from that ball game, a lot of confidence from that, knowing that you went through that order the first time and had so much success.
You followed not just Mississippi State baseball all season long, but also the SEC, very well versed in it, so you know these teams pretty well. The biggest stage, best 2 out of 3 here. Vanderbilt's been here a lot more lately than State. I mean, the last time State was in 2013. How do you see this series kind of going, and who do you predict to win it?
It's going to be tough. You know, Mississippi State is definitely behind the 8 ball from a pitching perspective. Vanderbilt has one of their best pitchers and one of the best pitchers in baseball that has been gifted an opportunity to pitch in the first game of the College World Series because NC State was eliminated and they had to forfeit. He was going to pitch, Jack Leiter was going to pitch on Saturday night, and that's huge for Vanderbilt to have one of your aces, which they had 2 of them, to have that guy ready and fully rested for that first ball game is so big. I think that first game is going to be huge. Whoever wins that first game has a very, very good chance to win the ball game or win the series. And if Mississippi State can find a way to win on Monday night, I like Mississippi State's chances. And it's hard to bet against this team right now at this point with the way that they're playing. They just find ways to win. It doesn't matter the circumstances. So, I like Mississippi State in this series just because they're so weathered and they're playing so well right now.
I agree with that type of perspective that you have. Whoever wins game 1 sets the tone, and you take out their #1 starter. Meanwhile, State would have a Houston Harding on the back burner if they needed. Maybe even Will Bednar a couple innings on that Wednesday. Who knows how well rested Landon Sims would be. Can I get a quick score prediction out of you for that game 1? Let's say they get to Leiter a little bit.
Oh man, well, if Christian McLeod can be really good, I think State can score a couple of runs on Jack Leiter. 3-2 maybe, something like that. At 4-2, 4-3, I think it's going to be a close game.
Every other game has been close, so why not the championship series? He's Robbie Falk of 247 Sports. Thanks for joining us, Courtney and Chris. Back to you in studio.
Once again, big thanks to Robbie Falk of 247 Sports and the Starkville Daily News for that great insight. Hey, we've got lots more action on the way. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the Dog Days in Omaha. We'll be right back.
You're watching Dog Days in Omaha with WCBI Sports.
Welcome back. What's better than one perspective? You guessed it. How about 2? You've heard from the folks who cover the team close to home. Now it's time to hear from the spectators beyond Stark Vegas. Our John Sokoloff caught up with Baseball America's Teddy Cahill. Take a look.
I'm joined by Teddy Cahill of Baseball America. Teddy, the championship series is set. Mississippi State and Vanderbilt squaring off. Based on what you kind of seen from both of these teams here so far, what do you really kind of expect for this championship series? How do you kind of see it going?
Well, I think it'll be a good series. We've had some really great games, some competitive games in Omaha, especially Mississippi State played compelling baseball.
What do you kind of see from this year's Vanderbilt team, and how could they really put some serious pressure on Mississippi State? Because we know, obviously, the Kumar Rockers and Jack Leiters of the world. Jack Leiter probably going game 1. What can you kind of expect to see from Vanderbilt?
Yeah, I mean, this Vanderbilt team, it all starts with Rocker and Leiter, and of course Rocker pitching Friday. You probably won't see him until Wednesday at the earliest. But the 2 of them have been key to putting together everything that this Vanderbilt team has been. They got a couple really good guys in the bullpen, and Luke Murphy and Nick Maldonado. Those 2 have been kind of the tag team out of the bullpen. They're very important to what Vanderbilt does. Offensively, it's a team that has a lot of power, can put runs on the board in a hurry, but also they strike out a fair amount. And against the Mississippi State pitching staff, perhaps that's something that Mississippi State can exploit.
I know it's kind of tough to predict baseball and postseason baseball, but what's your kind of prediction for this series? How do you see it going?
I do think right now that you can talk about either of these teams having the upper hand. Vanderbilt's going to feel good that they have the experience factor, that they have Jack Leiter on Monday, and Mississippi State's just playing with a ton of confidence right now. I think right now, I like the way that Mississippi State is playing. I like the confidence factor, the momentum factor. But I would not be surprised by either result. I think that you can make a compelling case for them both. If you're going to pin me down, I might have to go with the Bulldogs. I think that just the way they've played in Omaha, the way they've played all postseason has been very compelling. And the fact that they won't have to face Leiter and Rocker in back-to-back days, I think is a big difference maker as well.
He's Teddy Cahill of Baseball America. Teddy, thanks for the time, and I'll see you up in the press box for Game 1 on Monday.
We have more on how state success benefits Starkville right after the break. Stay tuned.
You're watching Dog Days in Omaha with WCBI Sports.
Welcome back. Following Mississippi State's walk-off 4-3 victory over Texas Saturday, Bulldog skipper Chris Lamona said that State brought what they call the dude effect to Omaha. State fans from all over the country, no matter how far, are making the trip to pack TD Ameritrade with maroon and white. Our John Sokoloff caught up with some of them. Check it out.
Where are you coming from?
Arlington, Texas.
Hattiesburg, Mississippi.
How far of a drive is that?
14.5 hours.
We're from Mississippi, from Tupelo, and it took us hours, but we flew.
I'm from Starkville. It took us about 12.5 hours, and we got here on Thursday.
I'm from Tupelo, and we came up on Thursday, flew to Chicago, went out to here, took about 5 hours. 13 hours. Hoover, Alabama.
I think they're great. I mean, we beat Leiter before, and I mean, and Rocker, he can't pitch the second game, and I think we win the first, second could be ours.
I think we're going to play 2 games and come home.
They are going to win it.
Really? Okay.
2 games.
2 games?
Yep.
I think we're going to win it in 2 games, and I'll be home on Wednesday.
Would you rather be anywhere else?
No.
No?
All the best.
No. No.
I'd rather be nowhere else but here. It's the greatest, and the Bulldogs are just doing great, and we're so excited to be here.
There's more than 800 miles between the Diamond Dogs' home of Starkville and the city of Omaha. However, Mississippi State fans are willing to go the distance.
For the maroon and white faithful who can't make the trip, they find their way at home, and it benefits Starkville in a big way. Our Holly Emery spoke with locals about how the Dogs' victories on the Diamond helps their hometown.
You can really just see that it's a living and breathing town. It's not just some dead small town that's like falling on the wayside.
Tucked back in the north side of MSU's campus is the Carnegie Hall for college baseball. Over 15,000 people have gathered inside of the stadium at the same time to cheer on the Bulldogs.
Man, it's kind of hard to describe, but it's really just, you can just feel physically the air is just like filled with like electricity. It's exciting. People are cheering, cowbells are going off. You can barely hear anything from people besides you.
And as go the Dogs, so goes the town. Sports help shine a national spotlight on Starkville and the people who live here. Local merchants say they stay ready for visitors.
So we'll get an item in and then we'll sell it out. I mean, it just goes that fast, and so she's constantly doing reorders. And of course, it's all the baseball stuff.
Any tour of Starkville should include food, and lots of it. To ESPN anchors, Little Dewey is the highlight of food in Starkville.
Throughout those years, it's just always helped, and now we're kind of a tourist destination that people come and check when they come to Starkville.
Favorites like Little Dewey are always busy, and since the Dogs have gone to Omaha, the campus bookmart right outside of campus has had more orders than prior to the season.
I think when our football, baseball, basketball teams are all doing well, it really helps the Starkville economy. You know, everybody gets very excited and they're willing to spend a little more money, and so it's been good.
Whether it's food or hometown appeal, the publicity Starkville's received because of the Dogs has businesses booming from the second they open their doors.
I believe it was probably 2 weeks, and it was then the very first Super Bulldog weekend. And on that Super Bulldog weekend, we looked up and there was a line across the bridge. And from my vantage point right now, that line has not stopped.
In Starkville, Holly Emery, WCBI News.
We've still got more to come right after this. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hey, if you're not making the trip up to Omaha, here's how you can watch the College World Series final. Game 1 will be on ESPN2. Every game will be at 6 p.m. Central Time. Game 2, ESPN. And if they have that Game 3, ESPN2. So that's where you can go. Chris, I think we both know how this one's going to end out.
Oh, yeah.
I think.
If you saw the first special, you know what I said. You don't have to ask me again. You already know what's up.
These are the Destiny Dogs. They are going for it all. They have nothing to lose. The cowbells are going to be loud in TD Ameritrade, and we love to see it.
Facts. If you know anything about this team, it will be a close game. It will not be easy, okay? The cardiac dogs, they will try to put you into cardiac arrest.
Yeah, they're 100% going to break your heart, so just hold on with them. But hey, it's baseball time, and more importantly, it is title time. Thank you so much for watching us. Go watch some championship action.